The NFL news cycle is continuing to heat up as Bengals star edge rusher Trey Hendrickson is seeking a trade. And unlike last year, the Bengals this year are allowing it to happen as he's got 1 year left of his deal. Welcome to Four Verts. My name is Harrison Graham. Here was the statement put out by Hendrickson via Adam Schefter. It's been an honor and a privilege to represent Cincinnati over the last 4 years. I love the city and organization. I appreciate the privilege of now being allowed to explore my options. So pretty clear statement there that this time around they're going to let him seek a trade, and it sounds like that trade will happen. I think he's the most underrated edge in the NFL, especially as a pass rusher. He's kind of an average run defender. He's not a great run defender, although I thought he was pretty good last year. But he is a tremendous pass rusher. I mean, he's got 14 or more sacks in 3 out of the last 4 years, 17 and a half in each of the last 2 years. This guy is just – no one talks about him because he plays for the Bengals, which is a small market team. And when people do talk about the Bengals, it's Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, etc. This guy, I'll say this right now, taking him off the Bengals defense, you thought their defense was bad now? I mean, on paper, is it the worst defense in the league without Trey Hendrickson? I just saw a tweet. They will have allocated the second fewest dollars to their defense once they trade Trey Hendrickson. Led the NFL in sacks and pressures a year ago. I think this guy is just an absolutely tremendous player. He's only 30, and he doesn't turn 31 until December. So, to me, with 1 year left, if you're a team interested, I think you'd be comfortable giving him a 3-year extension, turn it into a 4-year deal, and you're hoping for 2 elite years and 2 good years on that 4-year contract. That would be kind of the way I would look at it. Now, the Bengals angle, I think, is pretty simple. They were saying all the right things. Joe Burrow's applied a lot of pressure. They were never paying all 3 of these guys. They're a cheap organization. And quite frankly, in their defense this time around, paying all 3 of Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Trey Hendrickson in one offseason when all 3 will command probably north of $30 million, that's a tough ask. Now, the Bengals put themselves in this position. They could have paid Hendrickson last year. They could have paid Chase last year. They could have gotten a long-term deal done with T. Higgins before. But they're going to focus on Chase and Higgins here, get those 2 guys done, and they're just going to have to draft heavily on defense and whatever dollars they have left, just try and sign, I think, a volume of free agents on defense. I think that's going to have to be the approach from Cincinnati. Now, as far as who I think would be interested in Hendrickson, Jordan Schultz already reported the Commanders are among the teams that would be interested. I think elsewhere in that division, the Philadelphia Eagles would have interest. Howie Roseman's going to sniff around. There's been buzz about Myles Garrett there. I think the Bills would be interested, but are the Bengals going to trade him to a team that they're constantly competing with for playoff positioning? I'm not sure about that. I would think they'd want to flip him to the NFC. Would a team like the Bears, who have already made 2 trades trying to beef up their trenches, could that happen? What's it going to cost? Is it 1 first-round pick? Is it multiple high-level picks? He is 30. This isn't, Myles Garrett, who's a more complete player at 29, or even Micah Parsons at 25, 26. So I'll be curious to see what the value is, but man, Cincinnati's got work to do on the defensive side of the ball, no question. I'm going to be fascinated to see where Trey Hendrickson ends up. Okay, we react to all big NFL storylines here on Four Verts. News, rumors, trade buzz, free agency, draft. Free agency starts next Monday, so we got a lot to get to here on this channel on a daily basis. So hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and we got you covered. All right, I feel like I have to sneeze, but it just won't come. Okay, let's get into some other NFL news and rumors that are circulating around the league. Joey Bosa, is he going to unite, I should say, with his brother Nick in San Francisco? The Chargers cut Bosa on Wednesday night, which was an obvious move. It saves them $25 million. And there's already chatter that the Bosa bros could finally be on the same NFL team. This has been a rumor forever. Obviously, for Joey, it wouldn't be too far of a move, just up the state of California. But I think it's a tricky situation. He has declined in play, and injuries are a real thing. Now, this year he played in 14 games. He did leave a few games early, but he was a little more healthy this year than he was the prior 2 years. But I watch him play, and this is not an all-pro player. In fact, I think you're talking about an okay to good starter or a high-level rotational piece. piece. I think that's what you're looking at. And guys like that with an injury history and his age, I think he's 30, 31. I don't know, is it 1 year, $10 million? Like, I don't think he's getting crazy money. I think he can contribute to a team. I think he's a solid player. I don't think he's special anymore, and I don't even think he's, like, really good. I think at his best, he's a good player. At his worst, he's a rotational player. So there's still value. I'm not saying the guy can't help a team, but I don't think a team's breaking the bank for Joey Bosa at this point, given his injury history, given his decline in play. It'd be cool to see him play with his brother Nick. That'd be awesome, but certainly plenty of teams will be interested in the talented pass rusher. If you're excited for free agency, hit that like button. It's just a few days away, and there's already a lot of action happening across the National Football League, so we're going to have it all covered like we said, but if you're fired up, hit that like button. Okay, speaking of the Bears, who we mentioned earlier, is Drew Dalman going to be the final piece of the puzzle on the interior part of that offensive line? There's some online chatter that could be the case. He was the name linked to the Bears for really like a month now, him and Trey Smith, and then, of course, Smith got tagged. And then the Bears traded for 2 players. They traded for Joe Jackson and then Joe Thuney. They still do need a center, but, you know, I think it's one of these things, if you're Ryan Poles and the Bears, do you throw a big contract at Drew Dalman, a clear overpay? I mean, PFF's projection is $14 million per year. There's chatter he could command over $16 million per year. Like, are you in that business if you are Chicago? Because Joe Thuney's cap hit is $16 million. Jonah Jackson's is over $11 million. They have the money. They've got just under $50 million to work with in cap space, but do they want to do that? Would they rather go stopgap guy than draft somebody? So it'll be interesting to see what they do. Clearly, Ben Johnson and Ryan Poles are identifying that, yeah, we got to fix this O-line. And I think they've done a good job so far. That doesn't mean they're going to throw big money at Drew Dalman, though, unless they think he's that good of a fit. So we'll see how it plays out. And plus, that price tag keeps going up. Mitch Morse retired today, so the Jags now need a center. The Niners have been mentioned with Dalman. Green Bay center Josh Myers, they could pivot to Dalman, who I think is a better scheme fit for the Packers than Josh Myers is. Seattle could use one. New England. Minnesota's been linked to Dalman. If they were able to get him, they would cut Garrett Bradbury. So there's a lot of teams out there, and it's a supply-demand issue. That's why Drew Dalman's going to cost a lot of money, because there's at least a half dozen teams that need a center, and I don't think there's certainly not a half dozen quality starting centers available in free agency. And between free agency and the draft, I don't know if there's even 5 or 6 high-level starting centers. There might be that many starting centers, but not high level, right? Like, you're going to see probably some bridge options for several teams this year, because it's not like last year. Last year's draft was loaded. There were some good free agents. Not the case this year. So you could see a guy like Drew Dalman get a lot of money, and timing's everything. He is hitting the open market at the right time, and he is going to cash in because of it. We'll see if the Bears are the team that do that, but if they don't, someone else will. Which team will sign Drew Dalman? If you had to guess, who's it going to be? I certainly think the Bears will be in the mix. I definitely think the Niners will be in the mix. We'll see. Several teams are going to be interested. Okay, Tutu Atwell has re-signed with the Los Angeles Rams. 1 year, $10 million. So that caught my attention. I mean, it'd be one thing if the Rams let him test the market, and then that was kind of the market, and then they gave it to him. But to do this before free agency, they must feel pretty confident that this wide receiver market, especially for faster guys, could be a bit robust. That was my initial take, though. That feels lofty, fully guaranteed too. It's not like it's a incentive-laden deal. Just straight up 1 year, $10 million, fully guaranteed. It's like, wow, okay. Tutu Atwell is like a wide receiver 3 gadget player. He's not even really a wide receiver 2. So that to me caught my attention. Jeremy Fowler mentioned that speed guys will be coveted. This deal reflects that. So, maybe that's the chatter. If you want, guys who can really run, you're going to have to pay for it. And I do wonder is this a signal that teams don't love this draft at receiver, right? Especially if you want pure speed. There weren't a ton of guys running in the 4.3s or 4.2. You had like Matthew Golden and a few other guys, but a lot of 4.4, 4.5 guys. So maybe teams are going to look at guys like Marquise Brown and overpay. So it'll be very, very interesting to see kind of what the mid-tier wide receiver market, low-end 2s, high-end 3s, what they get. Typically a wide receiver 3 is not getting $10+ million. A player like that gets $6 to $8 million per year. But cap's going up. Rams are probably going to lose Cooper Kupp. They clearly felt the need to bring back Tutu Atwell at that price. Do you have a bold prediction for free agency? If you do, drop it in the comment section down below. That can include a trade. You can drop a trade idea in there if you want to do that as well. But Trey Hendrickson, we are now on Trey Hendrickson watch as he and the Bengals have agreed to let him seek a trade. And you wonder if that'll go down before the start of free agency on Monday. Okay, that's going to do it for 4 Verts. We are going to continue to cover everything in the NFL on a daily basis as we continue here. My name is Harrison Graham. We'll see you guys soon here on 4 Verts.